Hey everyone, welcome back to another episode of the Always Amy Show. I'm Amy, and today we have an amazing guest, one of my good friends, childhood friend, but also amazing entrepreneur, music guru, everything, Mike Snell.
Here.
Welcome,
up?
Mike Snell.
What up?
Welcome to the show. Thank you so much for coming. And behind the scenes, we also have Aiden. I don't know if you want to say hi. You can.
What up, gang?
We're all here today, so we're gonna have a great conversation. I haven't seen you in a long time, and I feel like a lot of this is gonna be us just catching up. But for most people who don't know who you are, can you tell them a little bit about yourself?
My name is Michael. I am a audio engineer, producer, entrepreneur, as you said. I started really in this town, like taking stuff seriously.
You really did.
When it comes to like engineering and producing. I've worked with a lot of artists after moving to LA, such as Tiana Taylor, Kanye, Pusha T, Danny Lay, a lot of different artists. And yeah, I've just recently last year I started a company called Live and Direct, which is a media company where we take up and coming artists and major artists, put them on the same platform. Through various mediums such as music videos. We have a social media show. We have music. Yeah.
Wow. So you're doing a lot right now.
Yep.
So let's start from the beginning. So we're from the same town, from Peekskill. Why music? When did you realize that this was something that you wanted to pursue seriously?
Well, I was in Peekskill because I've always been making music since I was like 8, like 3rd grade.
And you weren't born in Peekskill?
No. I'm from New York City. I was born in Manhattan and raised in Manhattan in the Bronx, and then I moved up here 2009, I think. Yeah, 2008, 2009.
Because you were here in high school,
Yeah.
like 9th, 10th grade or something like that, right?
Yeah, I moved like towards the end of 8th grade for me, and I kept going to the city, and then in the beginning of 9th grade I started here. So really, like, when the moment I realized I was going to start taking it seriously was in 10th grade. Shout out to Miss Rizzoli, yo.
Oh my God. I don't think I ever had her, but I feel like she was popping.
So she was doing this internship program, which is like rare because high school kids don't get internships. Like,
not in Peekskill at the time.
Yeah.
At least.
It was super rare. And there was a studio called Z Studios. And I was interning there. And I had at this point I had already been recording people at my house and like making beats and stuff. But I didn't really think it was a job. I was just having fun. But then when I was in the studio and I realized that I kind of had like a natural gift for engineering, I was like, you know what? Like I want to do this forever. Like if I get paid for doing this, then it's fun. Then that's what I'm gonna do. So
it feels like fun. Like when you're in the zone, what does it feel like?
Yeah, I mean, it's like a flow state. It's natural to me. It's really fun. It could be work depending. Like sometimes you get like really annoying artists. Oh, sorry guys. Can you put that on silent, please? Sorry. Anyways, I got a call too. Fuck, I'm sorry. Anyways, yeah, I mean, it could feel like work at times. I'm not gonna say it never feels like work.
Yeah.
But like towards the beginning of my career, when I started freelancing in the city, you get different types of artists that are really demanding, and you gotta work really fast. So that's when it could start to feel like work. Was
it a lot of free work at first, or did you get paid for some of the stuff you did?
If we're talking about when I first started, like high school, like it was all free, all of it.
Yeah.
My house was basically the studio. Like you remember, like everyone used to just come to my crib and record. That was fun.
It was.
Yeah.
It's crazy too, because so many people from our town are talented or have this aspiration to want to get far, but I feel like you're one of the few who actually made it out the town and did something with the love that they had for music.
Yeah, I mean, it's because I left, you know what I'm saying? Like, you have to leave. You can't stay in your comfort zone. Like, it was hard at first, like, being in LA and, like, not knowing anyone and, doing stuff that, working a lot, like, all day, all night.
How many hours do you think a week?
I was doing 10 hours every day minimum.
Wow.
And like that's like at the minimum. From like I probably take like one day off because I wanted it really badly, you know. And I started at the studio that now it's called Trap Land. It's called the Trap because like it was an Atlantic record studio, but it's like where like the beginning artists from Atlantic would go to, and mostly like trap artists and stuff. So like I would go there, and yeah, I just wanted to like really come up in the ranks. So I was just making sure that I was taking any session. Like they would call me like, "Can you come in like 5 minutes?" I'm like, "Yeah, I'm on the way." Like I didn't care.
So you were just available for anyone who needed you.
Yeah, exactly.
Is that what it takes in the music industry?
100%. Because like as an engineer, like you're the least cared for person. Like they don't really consider like your time or like if you're tired. Like they don't really care. So like coming up, you gotta always be available. You can't complain. You just gotta always be there, no matter what time they call you, until you build your name, and then finally you can say like, "Nah, I'm not coming," or "You're gonna have to call me tomorrow."
Yeah.
Like just right now, somebody called me. They would call me tomorrow. Sorry, Cooper.
So how long do you think? So what did you do after high school? Like after you left, where did you go for music?
Well, my mom has 2 degrees, so she wanted me to go to college. I didn't want to, but fuck it, I just went to WCC.
Do you think it was a good decision for you to not go?
Well, I did go at first.
Yeah.
And it was nice. I mean, I was in the radio program. I don't know if you remember.
Yes.
I had my radio show. But then I was like, I'm the type of person that I can't sit there and listen to people talk about things that I don't care about. So, yeah, I think dropping out was definitely the best decision I made. And then there was this other school called the Institute of Audio Research. And I decided to go there. And my parents helped me out. And then I went there. And at this point, I had already, like, I did the internship and I was recording already. So I knew what I was doing. But there's a difference between knowing like the steps to doing something and knowing like why you're doing each step, you know. So there I I learned the fundamentals. So instead of just like, all right, I got a compressor, I got an EQ, I got a reverb, like now I knew what each thing was and why I was doing what I was doing. So that was definitely a great decision because even even now, like a lot of engineers, they didn't go to school. They just like they know what to do, but they don't know why they're doing it. So I feel like that's what separates me from a lot of different people. So
you have the passion, and on top of that, you have the formal education in engineering.
Exactly.
So you're saying a lot of people in this world like don't really.
Yeah,
have
and
that?
it's not like 100% needed because the best like there's nothing better than actually getting real world experience. That's how you learn, and learning from other people that know. So you can go and intern, or you could like get a mentor and learn the same things that I learned in school, but I can never say that it was a bad decision. I feel like it was a good one.
Wow, interesting. Okay, so what was the first big artist you worked for that was big to you in your eyes at the time?
Dave East.
Okay.
Yeah, he was the first one because I was working with this guy Neek Bucks. Shout out to Neek. He's tapped, like he was probably the biggest, and he probably still is the biggest independent artist in New York. And so he's tapped in with all the people in the industry. And Dave East is also from Harlem, and Dave East actually used to look up to Neek before he got on.
Wow.
So he did a feature for him, came in the studio, and it was funny because I actually fucked up. If you go listen to the song, it's called How It's Supposed to Be, or Supposed to Be, something like that. Neek Bucks featuring Dave East. So if you listen to the song, Dave East spit 32 bars, which is like 2 verses, and Neek only has 16 bars. And I remember he finished writing. He's like, "Yo, how long is this beat? Like, I feel like I've been writing for a long time. Like, bro, I just like it's just on a loop. Like, it's not." He's like, "Damn, I thought you was just gonna, bring the hook back in." I was like, "No, I made it a lot of space so you can write." And but he ended up spitting 32 bars.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Well, I'm glad that was a good experience for you. How did you get there? How can somebody who's trying to get their foot in the door, how did you do that?
Bro, pick any door. Cause I started working at the studio called BBE. They're not even open anymore, but it was
Located where?
South Bronx in the hood. And it's like, cause right after I graduated, I was applying for different internships, and I got this one internship at this place called City Winery, and that was for like live sound. And it's not what I wanted to do, but I was like, fuck it, like if I can make money. But I wasn't happy there, so I quit, and then I started applying to the top studios, for example, Quad Studios, which is like the #1 studio in New York. And I didn't get it, and I was really like sad. I didn't know what to do. Started working like regular jobs, and I was like, yo, fuck this, like I'll get a job anywhere at this point. So I got a job at the studio BBE, and I was getting paid $10 an hour, which sucks, but I was grinding. That's where I got my work ethic from, because I was doing 10 hours every day, 10 hours. So coming home with $100, whatever, every day, it adds up. And that's why I built my name and built my leverage to be able to go to another spot, because now I had all these clients from here that I took to the new studio in East Harlem, which is when I started working with Neek, and then that's when he introduced me to Dave East.
Interesting.
Yeah.
So slowly but surely you made a name for yourself,
Yeah.
even though you were still working your way up.
Exactly.
And does that happen often to people, or do you think you're kind of special in that
Nah,
regard?
it happens. Like, it takes a while. Like, it took like a year, a lot of hours. But as long as you're talented and consistent, like, you're gonna get opportunities, and you gotta like not be scared to just like, because a lot of people, like, especially I see this with a lot of like producers, like they're like, oh, like I want, I'm not gonna lie, I do this now, but I feel like I can. But like if you're coming up, bro, just give your beats to anybody. You know what I'm saying? Like, you don't have to wait for like a top artist to pay like $5,000. Like, sell them on YouTube. Like, so like shout out my boy Ty. You know Ty from the sound. Like,
Yep.
like he works for whoever. He's just like, all right, you got money, I got beats. Let's go. Let's work. Like, just stay consistent.
Yeah. Okay. So do you think that if it hadn't been for your work ethic, you would have made it this far? Because you've done a lot, since you actually left. Yeah. So let's talk about LA real quick, because you were there for a little bit too, right?
Yeah.
Okay. So what did you do in LA?
Well, like I said, I started at Atlantic. So, it's funny, like my very first session that I had on paper was Wiz Khalifa. And I was hyped. I was like, yes, I made it. It's my first session, Mom. I'm working with Wiz Khalifa. And then I get there, and he had his own engineer. So I was basically a glorified, like, intern. I just had to sit in the hallway and go to the store and shit.
Wow.
Yeah,
okay. But you were still, like, within proximity of
but
people who were doing something.
But still, though, it's like, it's not the same,
Yeah.
I mean, I guess, now, like, someone that's not in my position would be like, wow, he's in the same building as Wiz. To me, I'm just like, fuck, but I'm not working with him, But from then, it took a long time, because, like, I was basically working with a lot of songwriters. Because, like, that's another thing that people don't really know about, is that people are like, oh, this person has writers. Just, like, bro, writers are they take a big portion of the music industry, is the writers.
Really?
Yeah.
Ghostwriters.
All right, so people that are not in the industry or consider them as ghostwriters, but no, they're just writers. Because if you go on Spotify and you click credits, you'll see their names right there. So it's not a ghost. Back in the day, they had ghostwriters, and ghost producers, whereas like you wouldn't even see their name, they'll get no credit, they wouldn't get paid. But nowadays, it's changed, and they get their credit. They still don't get enough credit, I believe, but they do. So that's how I got my chops up in LA, like working with a lot of writers.
And then you were working, I remember there was a time where you were working with a company and you were like going through it with them too.
Yeah, it's Atlantic.
Okay.
It's Atlantic, because I was putting in hours for them. Like, I was putting in mad work. And there's like a bad, like what I was saying earlier about just taking any session, and it's good, but it also could be detrimental at the same time, because then they start to expect that from you. And then when you finally start taking your mental health seriously, and you're like, oh, I'm tired, then they look at you a certain way. And I feel like that's what happened with me, because like I was getting burnt out. I was like, I was doing a session with 7th Street. It was like big writer. She had songs with Chris Brown, and she showed up like 3 hours late. It's like 2 in the morning, 3 in the morning at this time, and I'm like, yo, like I'm tired, I gotta go home.
Yeah.
And she's like, no, like you're not leaving, like you gotta stay here and finish the session. I'm like, yo, like I'm sorry, but I'm leaving. Like, and I told the head A&R, I'm like, yo, like can you, there were other engineers there, so I didn't understand why
it had to be you.
Yeah, but the reason why is because she liked how it worked, But I ended up leaving, and yeah, I basically got blackballed. Like, they were just like not booking me anymore. Like, I would come in the studio and they'd be like, "Oh, like how did you sleep last night?" Like all like sarcastically and
Wow,
shit.
that's pretty fucked up.
Yeah, and then I would just like I wasn't getting any bookings for like 2-3 weeks, but ended up being a blessing in disguise because then that's when I got the call to work with Tiana Taylor, and because I wasn't getting booked there, I had time, and then I went out and worked with her, and we clicked immediately because she's demanding. Like you gotta be
She knows what she
super
wants.
quick. Like if you fuck up one time, like she would snap at you. But I had been working so much that that shit is like muscle memory to me, you know. So it was easy.
So let's talk about mental health because I think that's something that maybe not a lot of people know of within the music industry. So what impacted you the most, do you think?
The same. It's funny because the same thing that got me where I am, it was the same thing that hurt me the most, which is overworking, you know, and working so hard. Like there would be days and like weeks where I would just felt like one long ass day the whole month because I would just go home, sleep for like 2-3 hours, 4 hours, get up, get back to it. But after a while, you get burnt out, you know, and then you start to feel like a ghost, and you don't have no social life. You got no friends. I forgot to talk to girls. I had to go on YouTube and look up like how to talk to girls, like, literally, like, you know. So that like really like now in this part of my career now I don't overwork myself anymore. If I get 1 or 2 things done a day, I'm happy. Like, you know, some days I don't do anything. I just sit there and I just relax because I know I need to recharge for the next day.
Was it hard for you to get to that point where you could say, I need to stop?
Yeah.
Right? Because if you're working consistently for so long, I'm sure it can be hard to transition.
Yeah. I mean, you can't do that when you first start in your career. Like, you have to overwork yourself.
Okay.
Like, you have to. But when you get to a point where you have a name and you finally, like, you know, can take a couple of days off, then you definitely should. And even as an artist, like some artists, they like get really frustrated because they get writer's block. But it's because they don't experience life. Like you have to go and do some things and go out, meet up with some friends, get a drink, get into a fight, like anything, like break up with your girlfriend, like do some shit that'll inspire you to go write. Because if you just sit, even for producers, if you sit there and try to make beats all day long, but you're not going to the club listening to music, you're not listening to radio, you're not, you know, doing different things, you're going to get stuck. So I think that's really important to keep, you know, make sure you keep a good balance. What
do you do for your mental health? Like, what are some activities you like to do outside of music?
Well, I've been working out with my brother. You know, that's great for your mental health. It helps you sleep at night, has you feeling good. I like to just go out with my friends, like, especially now that I'm back in New York, like, just catching up. Going to parties and stuff. Like, I could show you my phone. Like, anytime I go out to a party, like, literally I have a whole list of songs. So it's like, even if I'm partying, I'm working. So
it just never leaves your mind. Damn.
It's like,
and these are all songs?
These are songs that I hear because I'm a DJ too. So like, I'm like, oh yeah, I gotta do this. So it's like, you know, and that keeps me out of always playing the same songs that I'm DJing because now I'm getting inspiration from other DJs. So yeah, I like to watch wrestling. People make fun of me for that. I don't give a fuck. You know, it's a show. I see it as a show. And then
everyone needs a way.
You made a post the other day. You were like, I forget. You had like a pink outfit or something, and you had like a thing, and you were like, make sure you take care of your inner child.
Yes.
And I feel like that's how I take care of my inner child because when I was a kid, I used to love watching wrestling. So when I watch it now, like, you know, obviously it's not real, so I have to, you know, pretend. I have to be like, oh, what? But it's fun, you know?
It's like a way to detach. I think it's really important too. Yeah. Because if you don't, then you're just stuck in like, let me just be productive all day. But at some point you have to just chill out and just do something that kind of shuts your brain off, which kind of sounds bad when you say it out loud, but I feel like it's really important to do it.
Your brain can't run. It's like a computer. Like if you keep your computer on all day, the engine starts going like shh, and eventually it stops working. And ironically, like that's why like 4 of my computers don't work anymore because I used to OD on them shits.
Yeah, everyone needs rest. Machines, humans. If you feel like you don't, just pretend you're a car and be like, cars need maintenance. So you gotta take it to the shop and do what you gotta do to make sure you're running good and smooth. So I'm happy that you're taking care of your mental health because I feel like everyone should. And it seems like the music industry is super demanding.
It's tough.
Also, talk to me about these crazy hours because you were like in LA, like doing music at like 2, 3 a.m. until like 5, 6 a.m. and then still into the day. So why those times versus?
Because people in the music industry are crazy. Like, literally, they just work all like most like in LA specifically. People start their sessions like at 10 or like
At night?
Yeah, at night. Like that's when they start, and then they go all the way until the day, till like 4 or 5. And even when I stopped like recording as much, like I was so stuck in that mode that even when I would like start mixing and mastering, I didn't even have any artists in the studio. I would still start like at 8, 9, and I wouldn't end till like 5, 6 a.m.
It just became a pattern more than
exactly.
anything. Okay.
Yeah.
Interesting. So you go to LA. You're there for how long?
Well, I mean, I spent 4 years in LA.
That's a long time.
In total.
Really? It was 4 years?
Yeah,
That
but
went
on
by
and
really
off though,
fast.
because like my first year, I was at Atlantic for like 6, 7 months, and then I was with Tiana. But then Tiana started flying me out because she flew me out to Miami to finish the KTSC album, and then I went to Atlanta, and then I came back to LA, and then I ended up in Wyoming because they called me to work with Kanye.
Yeah, we got to talk about Wyoming and Kanye because that's a big deal. So how did you get that opportunity to work?
Bro, I feel like I manifested it because the whole reason I was in LA was like, I got an opportunity to work with Atlantic, but it was mostly to work with Kanye. Like I was always like, I even told my mom like, yep, I'm moving to LA to work with Kanye, and she's like, what the fuck you talking about? But yeah, I guess that through like developing my relationship with good music through Tiana. And also, like, my first good music artist I worked with actually was Sheck West.
Oh, my God.
That was the first one, yeah.
He was so big. Like, his first big song that blew up.
Yeah.
Did you work on that song, too, or no?
I wish.
What songs did you work on?
I didn't really work on much. Like, we had one session. It was the day after Christmas, and...
That's a nice Christmas gift.
Yeah, right? But it's funny because I was depressed. Like, I was so depressed because I didn't have no money to go home for Christmas. And it was my first Christmas away from my family.
Yeah.
So I was mad depressed, but it ended up being a blessing because... in LA, most of the music industry is not from LA. Like, they're from everywhere else. So they all left, and I'm still there. So I was the only person there. Mm-hmm. So that's why I got in the door with good music. And what was the song? It was, I think it was Wanted. Because we had a 10-hour session, but all he did was play his album. Like, yeah, that's the minimum, like, it's 10 hours sessions for, like, these major artists. But all he did was play his album, smoke mad backwoods, stand on top of the table, play basketball.
It's part of the inspiration, do you think, right?
It definitely is, yeah.
It seems like it. It's like you said, you have to try to make it as lively as you can to get the inspo.
And then I started recording. He was like, yeah, I need to do ad-libs over the song. And I loaded him up. But it's crazy how different people work differently because I feel like another reason why I moved up so quickly is because I started like doing the opposite of what a lot of other engineers do. Because I'm not saying most, but a lot of engineers, like, they, like, they record, like, just with nothing, like, with no effects or anything. Because recording, mixing, and mastering are 3 different processes. But I figured out how to do all of them together at the same time.
Really?
Yeah, so that's why Tiana loves me, because when she records into the microphone, it sounds like the record. But with Sheck West, he doesn't like that shit. He's like, yo, this sounds too good. Like, it sounds too crispy. Like... Nah, he got mad, and I was like, fuck, like, so I started taking stuff off, but he was still like, nah, it's still, like, too crispy, like, all right, fuck it, I'm gonna just do ad-libs, so then he just, like, did a bunch of ad-libs, and then ended the session, yeah.
And that was it?
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay, interesting.
But, yeah, so that's what led to Tiana, though, and then Tiana liked me, and then that led to Che Pope, who is, well, at the time, he was an A&R Good Music, so he called me to come to Wyoming to work with Kanye. But before that, I worked with him one other time. There's a song called T.I. vs. the People, where, like, this is the day that Kanye West put the Donald Trump hat on. Like, that was the day I met him.
This.
That was the day I met him. Yeah.
So what was going through your mind? Because Kanye was somebody you looked up to.
Bro, he was my number one idol, like, of all time. Like, I went to, like, all his concerts, had all the merch, like, I just couldn't afford the Yeezys, but I would have had them shit too. But yeah, like, that was the reason I was like, I in my head I always said, like, the day I work with Kanye, I'm retiring. Like, I'm good. I don't need to do anything. But it actually was the beginning, because that's when people started taking me, like, much more seriously, you know?
Yeah. To have that under your belt too.
Exactly.
What was it like working for him?
Well, the first time it was surreal. Like I was just like, first of all, I was so nervous that like my stomach like was fucked up, and I took a big dump, and I clogged Tiana Taylor's toilet.
Oh my god.
Like,
Did you fix it?
It was flooding all over the place. Nah, we were nah, we were about to leave, so I was just like, yeah, your toilet's messed up.
Oh my god.
Anyways, fun fact. But it was, I don't know, it was wild because I walked in and he's like arguing with Ti about Donald Trump. Like he's
Oh
just
my
arguing because
God.
Ti went all the way there to tell him that he should not be supporting Trump.
Really?
Yeah, and then he was like, "Yo, fuck all this. Like, let's put it on a song. Like, let's make a song about it." So then,
And that's how that song came about?
yeah.
Oh shit. So
And I wasn't even supposed to work on it. I was just there. But he goes one by one and asks everyone in the room, like, what do you think? What do you think? What do you think? What do you think? And everyone's like, yeah, it's good. It's good. It's good. But when it came to me, I was like, well, I feel like you should change the beat up a little bit. Like, I feel like you should cut the beat, like, on certain parts of the song so they could really hear what you're saying. And then he's like, he just looked at me, like, kind of just, like, stared at me for a while and then just went to the next person. And then it was like an hour later, he comes up to me and he's like, yo, like, he's like whispering in my ear. He's like, hey, what was that you said earlier about the beat? And I started explaining to him, like, oh, I think you got it. And he cuts me off. He's like, aren't you an engineer? I'm like, yeah. He's like, so why don't you just go do it yourself? Like, all this time you're explaining it to me, like, you could have just did it. I was like, all right. So then I go to the computer and I just, like, did my thing, whatever. And I press play. And then everyone's just listening. And then that's it. Like, he didn't say anything. So I was just like, okay. Like, I didn't know if he liked it or if he didn't like it. But then the next day the song was out. And I listened to it and I was like, I'm like waiting for the beat to cut. I'm like, yo, like it's in there, oh shit. And I checked the credits and they put my name in the credits. I was so hype. I was like, yo. Because Mike Dean was there too. And Mike Dean's like a fucking legend. Mm-hmm. So that was my first credit with Kanye and Mike Dean. So that was my first time meeting him.
That's amazing. Yeah. The fact, how old were you when you worked with him?
I was 22, I think.
So anyone out there, you can work with Kanye by the time you're 22.
Facts.
I think it's amazing that you really went from just being like in town to LA, like, and then you started working with big artists. Yeah. How did you develop confidence? Like, I feel like you have to have a level of confidence to say to a big artist and tell them, no, do it this way. Yeah. So how did you develop that?
I remember Tiana, like, she was like, why the fuck would you say that to Kanye? Like, bro, you're just supposed to be in there listening. You want to be giving opinions and shit. Like, I was like, yo, like, he asked me my opinion. But confidence, it just comes with time. Like, I put in so much hours. Like, I calculated a couple years back, and I'm like, bro, I did at least 30,000 hours. This was a couple years ago.
That's crazy.
So, it just comes with time and, like, knowing what people like, you know, and that was my signature, like, as an engineer, my signature, because, like, what separates me from other engineers is, like, I'm also a producer and a DJ, so I hear things differently. So I don't just press record. Like, I'll take the beat, I'll put a filter on it, I'll chop it up, I'll do different things. So I just take that same approach and just apply it to everybody else, you know, and it works, so. And
it seems like he really respected the fact that you actually said something other than, yes, it's good. Because I'm sure that he also hears, like, yes, it sounds fine.
Exactly, yeah.
Wow, interesting. Yeah. Congratulations on that, because that's really big. Yeah. So after you worked with Kanye, what did you do? I know you also went to New Zealand for some time. Yeah. So how much
there's
later?
There's a lot of in-between stuff, like.
Yeah.
Because that was just the first time, and then I ended up going to Wyoming. And then that was crazy. That's a whole.
So how long did you stay in Wyoming?
It's like a month and a half.
Yeah, you were out there. It was beautiful too.
Yeah,
it was super nice.
Yeah, it was like real peaceful, fresh air.
And this was for Kanye, right?
Yeah, it was for. They were working on like 4 albums. They were supposed. Tiana's album was done, I think, but it was Kids See Ghost, Yay, and Daytona. By Pusha T. And it was amazing. I met like so many people. Like I was in like. It was basically a big ass writing camp. Like the different artists there, like Partisan Fontaine, who's also from here.
Okay.
He's from like Newburgh, I think. And he's dating fucking Megan Thee Stallion now, which is crazy.
What?
Yeah, but
wait, I feel like we've seen like pictures of her man before. I have to go look now.
Yeah, it's him. He's from here, and like he's friends with all BAL.
That's like, crazy.
Like he's from the town, which is crazy. But we good?
You can just press record. It'll happen. Or
yeah, so like seeing Partisan up there, I was working primarily with Shake, 070 Shake. And that's how I got the placement on Pusha T's album. And I met Pusha T. I met like Consequence, who was in Tribe Called Quest. Like,
They all came to Wyoming?
yeah, everyone's there. Like Malik
Wow.
Youssef, fucking, oh my god, I can't believe I'm having a brain fart. One of the greatest producers of all time, Rick Rubin was there.
Okay.
Like fucking, everyone's there. Day of the release party, Chris Rock, Dave Chappelle, fucking,
Wow.
everyone. Like Kim, obviously, like so many people. Jonah Hill, Tim Westwood, even though he has allegations now. Shame on you.
R.I.P. Yeah. Justice. So what does it feel like being in a room of all of these talented individuals? Because personally, if I feel like I would get really nervous and don't know like if I could even speak properly. But I feel like does it phase you the same way?
I mean, like, I feel like I've met so many people at this point that, like, you start to, idolism, right? It's like, you start to not believe in it anymore. Because, like, it's so funny. Like, the first person, I met Mike Dean when I was, like, 18. And it was at a pop-up shop that he did for some merchandise and an album I think he had. And I remember I pulled up with a hard drive with, like, 50 beats on it. And I was, like, mad nervous to give it to him. And I finally got to talk to him. And I saw these other guys there that I was friends with. My boy K.O. Flows. He was in a band called Trikuza. It was, like, 3 of them. And they freestyled for Mike Dean, and then he let us go on stage and perform while I beatbox and shit.
Oh shit.
Yeah, it's crazy. But anyway, so like I'm handing him my hard drive, and I was so nervous that like my hand is like shaking like this. And like I tried to take a picture, and like it's mad blurry because So that was the first time I was really nervous to meet someone. And then I remember he was like, damn, 50 beats? Like, I'm not gonna listen to all these, there's way too many. And then
The fact that you fit 50 beats on a CD is crazy.
Right? So then the second time I was really nervous to meet somebody was this guy.
The hoes are texting me. I'm sorry.
That's you? That's an H. Anyways, was this dude T.Ill dude? He's not even like that big of an artist, but I was really listening to him a lot at that moment. Mm-hmm. And I met him at Atlantic, and I tried to get his number. And it's crazy because like you'll tell yourself like I'm not nervous, and then you like hand the phone and it's just like shaking. But so those were like the only 2 times that I was nervous, because then after that, like I would like meeting Tiana, like she has a lot of famous friends, so they would just all come to the studio. Like we've been in the studio with like Chris Brown or fucking Future or like whoever. They would just
Future.
They would just be hanging out. So I guess like I kind of got prepped for it. And then I had met Kanye. The first time I met Kanye, I realized, because like it's almost like the Wizard of Oz, like because you in your head you have this idea of they're this grand person and they're like God almost, and then you meet them and they're just a regular ass person that's also insecure about their art and has a lot of help. They don't do all this stuff by themselves.
Yeah.
And at first you kind of like are angry because it's like, oh, like this guy's a fraud. He fucking doesn't even write his own stuff. He doesn't make his own beats. But then it's like, then you start to realize they're like a conductor in an orchestra. You know, and it's like you need all the best pieces, and it takes an art to bring the right people in the room to do these things.
I love that.
So I stopped. I remember I was standing in the hallway with Kanye. He was standing right in front of me, looking at my shoes because they kind of look like Yeezys. So he was like, and
one of these knockoffs.
I was like, yo, I'm really breathing the same air as this nigga right now, and I was like, bro, he's no different than me. Like we're the same. Like if he can like do all that he did by just making beats, like why can't I?
Why not you?
Yeah, so I don't really like. I stopped getting nervous at that moment. I'm just like, bro, we're all the same.
That's the mantra for all summer. Why not me? Like, why can't it be me?
Exactly.
I love that. So you really like, in some ways, prepped yourself and got yourself into this mentality of like, why can't I be in this room with all of these amazing people?
Yeah, exactly. And if you're there, it's because you belong there. You know?
Yes.
So.
And I feel like you definitely belong there. Just seeing your whole journey is really amazing. As a close friend, but also as a spectator, because I feel like I just didn't see you for mad long.
Yeah, right, I was just gone.
So you go to New Zealand, right? What's in New Zealand? How long did you stay out there for?
I was there for 8 months. It was a long time.
That
It
is
was
a long
random.
time.
Shout out Mez, Pharaoh Swami. I started developing a relationship with this guy, Mez, who like, this guy was blowing me up, like sending me DMs every day, like emailing me for months. And I was ignoring him because I'm like, bro, like this guy's annoying. But anyways, one day I listened to his music and it blew me away. I was like, yo, like he's actually fire. Mm-hmm. So we just became friends and started working on music together. I sent him beats and I would mix his stuff. And then he always said, "Yo, I don't know how I'm gonna do it, but I'm gonna get you to New Zealand." So
And then eventually he flew you out.
yeah, he did. I mean, he didn't fly me out, but there was this new label starting that were looking for someone from the U.S. that had experience that could help with the label. So
Why the U.S. though?
Because everyone worships the U.S. Like, it's crazy. Like, our biggest export is media. Like, people
Really?
people
I
look
didn't know that.
people look at us like, it's crazy because like we're in New York City, whatever, just chilling. Like, I'm overseas and I'm like, bro, half the movies are in New York, and like people are like, oh my god, like New York, like they literally worship the stuff we put out. It's crazy.
That's true. That is true.
I guess that's why. Like, I don't know.
Okay.
But so
You were there for 8 months.
yeah, but then also like I had just started live and direct, so I told them like, only way I'm going now is if it's mutually beneficial, and then you guys help me with my company, and I can like build my company out there.
So Live and Direct was up and running before you left for New Zealand.
Yeah.
Okay.
We had just started it though. Like, we had probably like 3-4 months in.
Really?
Yeah.
Okay. Wow, that's really cool.
Yeah.
Everything I feel like happened for you in such a snowball effect. It was
Yeah.
like just kept going and going and going.
Yeah.
So in New Zealand, what did you do? Like, who did you work with? What was out there?
At first, I was primarily working with these two artists, one named KT Soldier and this other guy, K Trilla, who were brand new artists signed to this label. I'm not going to go really into detail with what happened with the label, but it just didn't go well. Let's just put it that way. I don't want to shit on anybody or whatever. But what the good part about it was Live and Direct. Like, we blossomed out there. We got a partnership with iHeartRadio.
Yes, check it out.
Yeah, we got a podcast.
So where can people find?
All platforms.
Okay.
They want us to say iHeartRadio, but you don't gotta go to iHeartRadio. You go on Spotify, you go on iTunes, you can go whatever the fuck you want to do it. But anyways, so we did that. We shot 3 episodes for our show with this one artist Nuri, this other artist Just B, and another artist who's the last one? Oh, Swit It. But it was dope though. Like, their music is amazing out there. Like, they're influenced like by everyone. Like, I feel like people in the U.S. they're influenced by like United States people, but people over there they listen to a little bit of UK, a little African, a little American. So like their music is like a nice collage of like a bunch of different cultures. And through our podcast, we got to meet like all the top artists in New Zealand.
That's
like
cool.
Mikey Dam, like he's probably my favorite artist from out there. Who else? Mellow Downs, fire. He actually has an episode of Colors. I don't know if you watched that on YouTube.
Yeah.
Yeah. So many people, Even Shane Young, who's a UFC fighter.
Okay.
We got him on there. And I ran into the UFC champion, Israel Adesanya. He just be outside hanging out. So I saw, like, we became, like, not friends, but, you know, if he sees me, he's like, oh, Snell. He thought I was Mike Will made it. Well, he's like, oh, yeah, Mike Snell, right? Mike Snell made it. I was like, nah, that's not me, bro. I'm Mike Snell. I'm like, Tiana Taylor. He's like, oh, yeah, I love Tiana.
Oh, my God. That's amazing. So people were like, they kind of knew who you were. Like, you've already, like...
I mean, it's because of Mez. Mez hyped me up crazy. Like, he's the best hype man ever. So...
Everybody needs a hype man?
Yeah. Everyone does need hype man, I think.
Wow, okay.
You could be on hype man, too.
That's true.
Shout out to Jeroy. He's, like, my main hype man.
Jeroy, where's he at? I'm surprised he's not here today.
Jolly boy.
He'll be here next time. So, in New Zealand, what was the biggest difference for you, like, in terms of working with artists? Do you think people were nicer there, or...
Man.
Or is it just all the same, no matter where you go?
It's not the same. I mean, I don't want to like hurt anybody's feelings, but they're just like their work ethic is not there like people out here. Like people, LA. I'm used to LA. That's where I made the most music at. Was LA. You're doing 10-hour sessions, like I told you. Like, you're in the studio all day, every day. You know, people out there don't really work at the same work rate. You know, they might do a couple sessions a week, or, you know, they'll be happy with like one song a week or something like that.
I think it's like typical in Europe for people not to work.
It's not Europe.
Too hard. It's not at all.
No, it's not. Is it? It's Australia. They get mad when people say that.
Wow.
But Australia is also a continent.
Yes, it is.
So it's in Australia.
Okay, I didn't know that. Some geography lessons for me. Okay.
Yeah, but they're dope though. Like, I don't want to take nothing away like from them. Like, they're fire as fuck. I just think, you know, it's such a small country that people kind of like they're more introverted creatives. Like they normally work by themselves. So I think it could be intimidating when somebody comes
From somewhere else.
and tries to work like super fast. So creatively, it was just a different. I just had to slow my pace down a lot. It takes way longer to create.
Do you think it was helpful for you as an engineer, as an artist in general, just to try something new, like taking it slow?
Yeah, definitely. It was like it's just a different work rate, and it teaches you patience. But I did make some really good music out there though, so it wasn't all bad.
What kind of music did you work on?
Mostly hip hop stuff. I like working on R&B the most, but mostly hip hop. I didn't work on as much music as I wanted to because I was going through a lot of drama and it's a lot of shit that I went through out there.
Really?
Yeah.
Okay. Well, we won't get into it if you don't want to.
If you got questions, I'll answer them.
Well, so what was the most dramatic thing that happened to you?
The most dramatic thing that happened? Oh my God. All right. The most dramatic thing that happened was, so things didn't work out with the label, like I told you, right? We weren't getting paid. The artists weren't getting paid. They were supposed to get paid.
Damn,
no
that
one was
sounds
getting paid.
terrible.
We got ghosted by the people that owned the label. And it was a climax of the whole situation. Like, so much shit happened. Like, we got evicted. Like, we got cursed out on Instagram Live by influencers. Like, it was crazy.
Whoa.
But the craziest thing that happened was probably, so we like, I was like, fuck this, bro. I'm not finishing the music until we get paid. I'm not doing nothing. Like, fuck that. But my business partner Keith was like, yo, Snell, like, honestly, just do it. Because if we finish it, like, nobody can never say that you didn't finish your job. But I was like, all right, you know what, whatever. So I stayed up, like, for days, like 3 days straight, like, mixing and mastering, finishing these albums. So I finished the albums. Boom. And then we're supposed to meet with the owners. Didn't happen. They just didn't show up.
The owners of
the label.
Okay.
They just didn't show up. And then Keith was upset, and I think Keith was just like, yo, like, I'm not sending nothing until we get our paper. I think it was just a little bit too loud because somebody overheard him. So the next day I come to the studio, I'm trying to get in the studio, and it's locked. And the studio's never locked, so I'm just like, yo, what the fuck? And remember, we got kicked out, so at this point, we're, like, living in the studio. All that shit's there. Well, I think we had an Airbnb at this point, but, like, all my computer was there, my hard drives, everything. Trying to get in, it's locked. Knocking on the door, no one's opening the door. I'm like, we're like trying to kick it in, like no one's like, and then the guy who was one of the people that I'm not gonna say his name, but the guy who wasn't letting us in texts us one of the producers I was with and says, "Get fucked." So I was like, "What?" He's not letting us in. Like, yo, we gotta get in. So we go outside, try to figure out how to get in the studio, and there's like this big ass scaffold that leads to the window. We're like, yo, you gotta climb this shit and go through the window. So when my boy Trey climbs upstairs, goes, opens the window, he's inside, so we're waiting for him. And we're like, yo, it's taking so long. Like, he's just not opening the door. Eventually he opens the door, we get into this big fight with the artist. He's like, I'm not giving you your shit until you send me my music, blah, 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 blah. I'm like, bro, I'm gonna send you. How can I send you your music if I don't have my laptop? I don't know. You gotta figure it out. Blah, blah, blah.
What?
We're like arguing. I'm looking all over the place. Like, he's about to get into a fight with Keith.
Oh shit.
Eventually, I got my laptop. I sent the music, and then I left. But that was like the last, like, that was like the ending of that relationship.
Damn. Well, I'm glad your friend made it down into the place safely.
Yeah.
That sounds crazy. So it seems like there are a lot of companies that don't really treat the people they work with very well.
Yeah, I mean,
do you think that's true like all around, or do you think there's better?
Nah, I mean, honestly, it's 100% true. But like in this case, I wouldn't even consider them a company because they had no idea what they were doing, to be honest with you. There's just some people that wanted to start a label with money and expected fast turnarounds, and that's not what the music industry is. But what you said is 100% correct. Like, engineers don't get like, first of all, if we're working at a studio full time, like, we need to get benefits. We need to have health insurance.
That's crazy. You guys don't have that
right now.
Speak on it, please.
But like, for real, like, yo, I be breaking my back working for these niggas. Literally, I can't, like, my back be fucked up after these sessions. You know, I think we need mental health insurance as well. You know, I think we need some kind of break. You don't get breaks. Like, you're just in the studio.
Yeah.
Oh, if you want to take it's a difference when you have a relationship with the artist, because you can be like, yo, like, I'm gonna step outside real quick. They're like, cool. But if not, like, that's not a regular thing. You know?
It just seems so unregulated for the people who work.
And then songwriters, they don't get any percentage of the masters, and they don't get any songwriting fee, which is crazy. Because like, if I make a beat, right, and I sell the beat, I get an advance. So like, my last advance I got, it was a co-production. I got 7,000. We split it between two people. We got 35 each. You know, there was no songwriter in this situation, but if they were, they don't get anything. They don't get any money. They have to wait to get the publishing, and the publishing comes. So once I register a song for publishing, which that process is crazy too, because you have to wait until everyone else gets their percentages, and you have to know everyone's percentages. So once you get everything, you put it in the system. You don't get paid for 3 seasons. So if it's like,
jeez.
So if it's now, basically, if I put in something now, I'm not gonna get paid until the springtime of next year.
What?
And that's my first check for publishing. So like, how is
that even real?
So how can you survive as a writer? And then the streams, you get like 0.0000001% per stream.
Jesus. So you're literally getting nothing, like basically, almost anything from them.
You really only like do good if you get a publishing deal, which is like if you write a big song, like say I write a song for fucking, I don't know, Beyonce right now, and it goes #1, a publishing company will be like, okay, like we'll give you an advance for your next couple songs. They might give me like $500,000 or something, you know, and then I could survive off of that for the next couple years or whatever. But then then they take the majority of my percentages when the money actually does come in. So it's fucked up. Like it's that is really fucked up. Yeah.
So we're coming after the music industry then. You guys gotta get.
I got a couple years left in the industry. I just got a couple more things.
Are you retiring?
Bro, in my 30s, I'm going to film. Like straight up, I want to do music for films. I want to be like Hans Zimmer.
Oh my God! Please, he makes really good music. I like all his scores.
And he goes on tour too. That's just crazy.
Oh shit, that's really cool. So let's talk about it. So what are you looking to do moving forward? Like, do you still want to be in the music industry?
Clearly I mean, it's exhausting. You know what I'm saying? Like, it's super exhausting. Cause like you get to a certain point and you've done a certain thing, you don't want to go back and do other things. Yeah. You know, it's like it's hard.
How old are you now?
I'm 26. Okay. You know, and it's like I've been doing this shit since I was 12. Yeah. You know, so it's like I've been in the industry since I was like 18, 19. So, you know, it gets tiring, you know, because you gotta, and it's like, there was a time where I made a sacrifice because I'm like, I've always viewed myself as a producer. Mm-hmm. And because I am a producer. And, you know, you're engineering and you're engineering and you're engineering. And, you know, it's like, as an engineer, you just work for the artist. You just do whatever they say, whatever they want. As a producer, you actually get to put your 2 cents in. You can, you know, so I sacrificed a lot of engineering sessions to be able to produce more. Mm-hmm. That's how I ended up getting the Kodak Black placement. I ended up writing with Danny Lay, producing for her and Lil Mosey and stuff. But then it's like you had to get a major placement in order to get you know, paid. Yeah. So it's draining, you know, which is why like I want to eventually move into something more sustainable, which is why I started Live and Direct. You know, it's like now I'm a CEO of a company, and, you know, we get to build other artists with the knowledge that we have of the industry. You know, we're in film and music. So I want to continue doing that and being an executive, A&Ring, and just like really putting things together and overseeing them. And then eventually, like when I get into my 30s, like I want to really start working on major films, and that's where I see myself going with my career.
Wow, is that something you thought you were gonna like do later or when you were younger? Or not really? Yeah,
I mean, honestly, shout out my auntie Wanda. My aunt was the one that put that spark in my head, because when I finished school, she's like, "Have you ever thought about film?" I was like, "No, I never thought about it, but I really would love to." And then I started getting into more films and watching more movies, and I'm like, "Yo, this is dope," because a lot of my production is very cinematic, and it's very like my dad is like, "Yeah, this is like music for deep people." So like, you know, that's why a lot of I don't really like giving beats to whoever. Like, I'd rather hold the beat for 2 years than give it to some bum. Like, sorry, I don't think the artists are bums, but I'm just saying, like, you know, I have a certain like caliber of like type of people that I want on my music, which is why I love that put out things, and which is why I'm about to put out my own album through Live and Direct.
Releasing when?
Yeah, I want to say September. Okay. We have our first single out right now called "Don't Date an Artist." Okay. It's doing pretty good. We got like about 300,000 streams. It's on YouTube, videos on YouTube.
Congratulations.
Yeah, thanks.
Interesting. So we're probably gonna listen to your music like in another 10 years, like on the big screen.
That's a
That's the
fact.
idea.
You definitely will.
Wow, Snell, this is amazing. I had no idea you even wanted to do like all of this stuff also. That's pretty much still music, but
Yeah.
in a different way.
Yeah.
Do you think that it's okay for people to change their mind? Can people expect to change like
Oh,
the course
yeah.
of direction?
I mean, you never know what you want until you actually get what you want.
That's true.
Because, like, yeah, honestly, I always wanted in my head to, like, originally just to straight up be in the music industry. But, like, once you're in it, you're just like, this shit is trash. But you get so deep in it that you kind of got to continue, you know?
I feel that.
So, no, it's totally cool to change your mind. You know, a lot of people go into the game thinking they want to be an artist. And I did. Remember, I used to make music, put out my own music.
Yep.
But it's so difficult to be an artist. That you have to invest so much money, so much time. There's millions of other artists. You got to market your money, your music. You got to dress a certain way. You got to, like, do so much. So I was like, fuck this. I'm just going to produce, you know? And then you get into producing and it's like, wait. You know, so I love music as a whole. But, you know, the more you do things, the more you realize where you want to head. So.
Oh, that's beautiful. I really love that. So I would love for you to tell people who are aspiring to get to where you are, what is like the most important thing or important lesson you learned throughout the time that you've been working?
Consistency is key. You made
Yeah.
the song the other day called Consistency is Key.
Consistency is key.
We gotta make that song for real.
I'm with it.
Yeah.
It's dropping soon.
Yeah, consistency is key. Stay consistent. Whatever you like decide to do, like yes, it's okay to change your mind, but once you have your mindset, like go hard. Like that's not like as cliche as it sounds. Like it's dead as true. When I was a kid, I used to hate these cliches, like things that people say, because I'm like, oh, everyone says that, but it's because they be true for real. Like
The corniest quotes
yeah,
are like
exactly.
the most true.
And I always say this on every podcast that I go, move. Leave wherever you're at. Like it's not there. It's not for you. Like if you're where you're at and you've been doing the same thing and you're frustrated, I guarantee you, if you go through that same shit that you're doing there somewhere else, people are gonna appreciate it more. You know, and especially if you go into a bigger market.
I needed to hear that advice. I'm trying to move to DC,
Yes,
so fingers crossed.
You would be perfect for DC.
Yeah, I'm really trying to be out there. Do basically what you just said. I want to do this in DC, so hopefully,
Exactly.
fingers crossed. To wrap it all up, what kind of advice can you give to people who maybe don't have a supportive group of friends or family who might not be able to feel like they can share their ambitions with them? Like, did you go through anything similar?
Leave.
So just
fuck
leave.
out of there. Like literally leave. You could build a new family in LA, new friends and support group. You know, it's not that easy. You know.
Yeah.
I got lucky because when I left, I got an opportunity for an interview, and I was like, okay, I don't have any money saved, but I can work my ass off for a week and buy a plane ticket and have like $1,000. I did it, and I ended up getting kicked out of this girl's house because she was pregnant. I didn't know.
Oh, damn.
And then my
Mad
boy let me,
drama.
yeah, OD. My life is just a bunch of drama. But then my boy let me sleep on his couch for like 5 months, so I got lucky, you know. So I say build a network online at first, like, you know, meet people from different places, and then once you're there, you know, you can, you know, once you have people that you can go and stay with for a while, even if you just go for a little bit, go check it out, build a network, meet people that do the same thing as you. And it's refreshing when you realize that you're not crazy. You just were in the wrong environment. You know?
Yeah, I feel that.
Don't be a shark in a fish tank.
I love that. Wow, you have so much like inspiring. You should just make quotes for a living too.
Thanks.
Just do the scores
Don't
and
gas me
do
up,
quotes.
man. I'll make t-shirts.
You will make the merch. We're waiting on it.
Right. Consistency is key coming first. This is going to be a key with consistency written on it. That's
Okay,
hard,
that
right?
is.
It's kind of hard.
All right. Well,
You're
I'll
not
make sure
getting
the
a
people know
right.
whenever you drop this merch.
You're not getting a percentage though. No, I'm playing.
Oh.
Nah, I'm just playing.
Not me being in the room. No, I'm just kidding.
I'm
It's
just
all
kidding.
for
I got
you.
1%.
Oh. All right. Well, to wrap it all up, can you tell people where they can find Live and Direct or any other
Yeah.
things related to
You
you?
can find Live and Direct on Instagram at Live and Direct. That's LIVEN Direct with the extra T on the end because someone stole our name.
Really?
Yeah. Well, I don't think they stole our name, but whatever. You can find us on all platforms, streaming, iHeartRadio. Just search up Live and Direct, one word with an N. You can find me on socials at Mike Snell, MIKESN3L. Yeah. You can find me on OnlyFans. Nah, I'm playing.
Coming soon. Just kidding. Thank you so much for coming on the show. I really appreciate you being here, sharing your story, telling the people what they need to hear, because I really feel like it's important to share people's journeys. And I feel like you've had such an amazing journey. And I really only hope for the best for you moving forward.
Thank you.
And I'm going to listen to your music on really big movies. So I'm going to wait on it. Oh, and my dog's been barking this whole time. So I'm so sorry that if you guys can hear it. But that's it for today. Thank you so much for coming, Snell. Thank you guys for watching.
Shout out to Aiden, Snell Productions.
Yes.
Go follow Snell Products.
Where can we find your stuff, Aiden?
Snell Productions on Instagram. Snell Products, SNELLPRODUX. 5 films, 5 quality. You know what it is, baby.
I'm going to link everything down
marketing,
below.
All that.
Yes. I will link everything down below where you can follow them. And thank you so much for watching, everybody. I will see you guys in the next one. Peace. This is always Amy.
Always.
And thank you for coming.
Anytime.
Bye.